Hello, this is ELB, and let's get back to work. So last time we got well, we got a bit more complicated with our map system. So as you can see here, it can move around and move between sections. But last night, off camera, I did a little bit more work on it, and got some help with some easing functions. So as you're gonna see here, I'm gonna move between these two, and it's gonna look a lot better as I move to the right. See? That was the easing in out quad. Now it'll be normal when I go back this way. So all I gotta do is implement that in moving in the other two, or the other three directions. So that's what I'm gonna do. So it was OBJ test figure who had that in the step event. Oh, that is up there. There we go. It was not in the step event actually, it was in the end step event. Alright. So, you can probably tell that we added a good amount. Well, first off, we added a few things to help us actually get this easing working, as well as just some code to ensure that it would always work, or it would only start at an exact designated time. So, let's see here. Now, we need to do this for the other ones. Okay. Oh, why did that change? So, this is going to be the same. Current time minus camera start time, view x view start, intentional view x view minus view x view start, 500. Meaning we want this to happen in half a second because it's going by milliseconds. And I think that's right. I think that's all we need to do. Here, let's give that a test real quick. Yeah. Huh. If we go too fast, though, it causes some issues. I think something that I might do is make it so that you can't push into the next area without the camera being centered. Or, you know, being where it's supposed to be. Anyhow, let's quickly implement this for up and down as well. Well, it needs to be view Y view, and then view Y view start, intentional view Y view minus view Y view start. In fact, if it's the exact same, then I think I can just do this then. There we go. Let's see. Ho ho! Now that is not what I was expecting. Oh! I have no idea what just happened there, but that was interesting. Let's see if I can get that to happen again. Oh my goodness. I wonder where the camera is. That was great. I liked that. That's just kind of fun. I want to know what causes that though. Like, am I just gonna need to protect the corners, or can I assume that'll never happen? Or will my other fix work? I don't even know. Huh. Aiming these arrows is difficult. Anyhow, I'll stop messing with that. So, I want to make sure that the player can only leave the section that they're in if the camera is centered. So how would I even do that though? Hmm. Well, let's look in on the movement. Could be something as simple as not being able to move for the half second that the camera comes in. But is that what we really want? Something that we can do is a control override and have the player move in a certain direction for so many frames until the camera movement is over. I wonder. Hmm. I apologize for my silence. Um, Here's what we'll also do if we'll do this twice to ensure we have some sort of parameters to require that the camera will actually move. So if the camera is currently aligned to the grid, basically this is what it's saying, then this is allowed to happen. So that's still not going to solve all our problems, but let's see how this looks. Well, that's not giving me the results I wanted at all. Actually, I don't think this works at all. No matter what outputs, yeah, no matter what outputs that, so that doesn't work at all. Well, shoot. That means these are doing nothing, I think. Okay. I think this will work. View Y view divided by map section height should give us that. That should work, I hope. But then why is it going back immediately? aren't you working? Okay. I'm gonna have to organize all this soon. I might not do that on camera though. I'm not sure. Okay. Well. It's still not quite working. There we go. Maybe that'll help. Honestly, I'm just kind of throwing and seeing what works at the moment. Aha! Alright, so this teaches me that I should keep those corners protected. Just like I mentioned when it came to not Breath of the Wild, Link's Awakening. Even though they didn't always do it, which surprised me a bit. Alright, that feels okay. It might be interesting to have gameplay based around moving your cover. But I would not say that that's going to be the focus of this project. Okay, you know what? Let's take the time to organize stuff, to organize our code, to get a bit more documentation in there. So it's the amount of pixels the player moves per step. This modifier works as follows. 0 equals no movement. 1 equals normal speed. 2 equals double speed. 1.5 equals speed and a half, I guess. This is the radial direction that the player is moving / facing. This is where the player is looking. The remembered axes of the remembered horizontal axes of the left stick. The remembered vertical axes of the left stick, of the elf stick. This is already getting fun. Whether or not the player is in the middle of dodging. Whether or not the player can dodge at all. How many pixels the player moves per step when dodging. How many steps a dodge takes. Dodge distance equals dodge speed times dodge time. How many steps must pass before the player can dodge again? Cool down starts with button press. Whether or not the player is currently targeting / locked onto an enemy. The ID of the target that the player is locked onto. The range at which the player can target an enemy. Which is funny because that variable hasn't been used at all. Currently not in use. In use. That'll get my attention in the future. The ID of the object being picked up. Whether or not the player can move this number can be above 1. Whether or not the camera is moving between map sections. Sections. There we go. Cool. We got what we wanted for this one. I'm gonna take a moment to grab a drink, and then I will organize the step event for the player. Okay. That being said, I've already mentioned, I think, that I want this to be an action RPG, like with a focus on the action, and like I don't know if I said whether or not I don't want dialogue options, but I kind of don't want dialogue to be in this game at all. Like, so I've been thinking about how the game what was it called? Hyper Light Drifter inspired me. That game's combat was serviceable. I would like something a bit better than Hyper Light Drifter's combat, but this isn't about Hyper Light Drifter's combat, this is about their world building. Because despite the fact that I pretty much have no idea what was happening in the story of that game, what I loved about it was the way it opened up to you as you played. Like, you'd start off and it was kind of difficult to read the map, honestly. Like, you weren't totally sure how to get from one area to another. And so once you figured out how the underground stuff worked, it really sort of opened it all up to you. And then, you know, you also would figure out how money worked, because you were picking up money and you had no idea that it was money because the game never told you that it was money. What else was like that in that game? The way you found secrets. The game never tells you that that little symbol you see on the ground means there's something hidden there. And figuring that out was really special. And those sorts of aha moments and this unfolding of your understanding, not of the world in its setting or plot, but the world in its mechanics. That, to me, was amazing. I loved that so much. And that's sort of what I want to do. But unlike Hyper Light Drifter, this is not a game that I would intend on there being NPCs in. I mean, no, there would be NPCs in it, but there wouldn't be... There are no characters that you can talk to or interact with on a friendly level, right? There are only enemies. And maybe other players. I would like my dream version of this game is multiplayer, right? And whether or not that would happen, or whether or not I can even do that, I'm not totally sure. Right now, I haven't exactly been building this for multiplayer to work, but I have sort of focused on that in some of the design areas. Like, I did that whole parent thing with the rocks, right? Where I could have just put all the code into the rocks themselves, but instead I made parent objects so that I can then make a bunch of different variations of it. Now, I'll have to go back and modify that parent every time I do, but all I'm going to have to add is, you know, what it's changing to. Okay, sorry. So, I am back at my desk. I have iced tea to stir up. Alright. It is time to continue, isn't it? So, I'm going to add an event. It's going to be begin step. We're not going to worry about that for now because we're going to remove it as well. Just testing something real quick. So, let's see. Oh, but it does work. Cool. Okay. I'm gonna give this a title, and I'm gonna call it left stick axes. That's all it's gonna be called. Left stick axes. Okay, now let's create another one. Right stick axes. Look at that, left stick axes, right stick axes. Moving. Lock on. So in case you're wondering, this triple stroke comment right here is well, that's how I'm making these say exactly what they are, which is actually rather useful. I mean, obviously it's useful. Gonna do this, mud collision. Oh. Of course. That's a big one. Next one should be B button. Okay, and then final one. Right trigger. Really? Oh. There we go. I'm gonna delete this event. Then change this event to just step. And let's try it out. Cool. It should now be relatively easy for me to reorder those if I need to. I just gotta drag them around. Okay, so I guess I now must ask what I want to work on now. So I do need to do what I did with projectiles, or what I did with the pickup stuff with the projectiles. You know, need to make it so that there's some code that's between all of them. So you know what I would like to do actually? Here. I am going to set, what was it, player, I can't remember. Here's what I'm going to do. Player speed modifier equals 1. So it's always going to equal 1 right at the start. So rather than doing this, I can just do this times equals 0.5, so it'll be cut in half. Okay, so I can't even remember what that was again. It was player speed modifier. So I don't want it to drastically alter the player's movement, but I do want it to. So let's see how this works. So when I pick up the rock, I should move slower. Actually, let's get some mud in there real quick. Okay, so moving around normally. Okay, good to know. So, I know what happened here. It's actually a little bit obvious and a little bit silly. Hold on. So, player speed modifier. Okay, so And then, you know what? Instead of doing that here, you know what we can do? We can move all this into here. Okay. Then so if here, I'm not explaining this very well. The reason the mud wasn't working is because the modifier was happening after I was already doing my movement. So because it resets every step, it was basically start the step, my speed modifier is 1, I move, and then the mud sets it to 0.5. But I've already moved for that step, so on to the next step. Oh, it's set back to 1. So my movement never saw the modifier, which was not what we wanted. A button. Okay, so if pickup ID is not equal no one, then if pickup ID dot object index equals obj pickup held rock, then player speed modifier times equals 0.75. Okay, that should work. Let's give this a test run. Moving around as normal. Oh, we're slowed down. Okay, picking up a rock. Oh, we're moving a bit slower. And, ooh, that speed decrease. We could test this even more, of course, just to make sure. Let's see how slow we move now. So that means when holding a rock and when going through the mud, we'll move at 0.1 speed, right? Ooh, that's dreadfully slow. What about now? Oh, so slow. Well, they never said carrying rocks would be easy. Okay, so let's bring it back to something, you know, a bit more logical. Did my music stop? It did. Have I been streaming that long? I've been streaming for 45 minutes. Okay. Well, I don't think this is the worst stopping point for now. Hopefully I'll get back to this within a little bit. In any case, thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.